and welcome to a brand new video of my, I can call it abandoned Supra build. It was abandoned a fair few years ago, so I'm sticking with that name now. So anyway, in the previous video I have shown that I started working on the 2JZ engine, and it was a Christmas period and New Year's, and there was a lot of bank holidays, so basically non-working days in the UK. And I did order a fair few parts, and as you can see, it's cold in the garage. So it's leading up to one of the excuses. I basically haven't really done much since the last video, which I posted about 2-3 weeks ago. But now we're getting back to normal. So parts are coming in, and I can actually start working on the build again and get the engine in. So let me show you what I've been doing, or what little work I have done so far. So as you can see, there's still no engine in the car, and I still need to put the car on axle stands actually to get under the car and have better access for the gearbox mounts and stuff like that. I have sort of tidied up this corner. I really cannot wait for the engine to be in the car so I can have a bit more space. So as you can see, the engine mounts are finally in. I cannot remember if I shown the sump in the last video, but basically that is in, torqued up and ready to go. So I have ordered the oil cooler delete thing. So it's basically a sandwich plate, and I can just screw in oil filter straight to here. Still running the OEM pressure plate, the oil pressure sensor, and I will run the oil feed from here as well. So that should be straightforward. I'm still not sure which way I'm going to run it, either all around the engine and run it through the back of the engine above the gearbox, maybe run it just over the top, which is what I've seen some people do. And I've seen a really cool way of running oil line as actually behind the timing belt, although I'm not sure I'm keen on that idea. It is an option, but I just feel like I'm probably going to run it over the top of the engine and just keep it simple. So like I say, the engine mounts are in, which is nice. One thing to note about the engine mount, so for those who haven't seen the previous videos, this is a GS300 engine, and the engine mounts were actually, I think they were using these 4 holes. So I think they were using these 4 holes because these I had to clean up the thread, and actually it wasn't too bad on that side, but on this side it was definitely pretty bad. It was these holes and these holes, and if you try to actually move the engine mount to here, the original GS300 one, it doesn't line up. So yeah, the Supra mounts are definitely different. It's all brand new stuff that I've ordered from Australia. I better remove that before I forget. So the actual old bolts are fine, but make sure you clean out the thread. I think it's M10 by 1.0, the thread pitch. So now that's all good and ready to go into the car. Still need to either buy or make oil return for here. I do have bits of stainless steel laying around, so I will probably just make my own little adapter, and I do have an AN10, I believe. So I've bonged to go in there to be welded in. There are kits available from internet, but they're like $50 plus shipping to UK, which then adds up. So it is a simple piece to make, so I'll probably just do that. I still haven't ordered the exhaust manifold. It's kind of not stopping me doing much at the moment, so I'm kind of debating which options to go with now. There are some cheaper eBay alternatives, and then there are really expensive ones for like $2,000 plus shipping to UK. I've seen a cast one, which would be nice, but then the shipping to UK is like a third of the cost, on top of the original cost of the manifold. So I'm not entirely sure on that at the moment. Another thing that I have found is, so on the GS300, basically NA engine, the power steering reservoir sits on top, which let me grab you and show you that. So the reservoir sits something like that. Yeah, it sits there, which is fine if you're keeping the original intake manifold or just not turbo in the car. But in my case, I'm running one of these intake manifolds, aftermarket intake manifolds. So what I ended up doing is ordering the 2JZ GTE sort of flange. So it basically converts it to an external or like separate, a remote power steering fluid reservoir. That probably would be the correct name. So that is due to come in the next few days. So I'll be able to put that in there. There's already a threaded hole in there. So I'd imagine that the GT and G pumps are actually the same. And the only thing that's different is actually, the output and like power steering pump mounted reservoir versus the remote one. So that's all good. I do actually have a BMW reservoir just there, so I will probably run that. I've seen people do that before, so that should be fairly straightforward. I do also have a set of quote-unquote R8 coils. These are actually off a Mach 6 Golf GTI, I believe, and that was kindly donated by one of my friends. He did say he wasn't sure if they were working or not because he replaced the set to chase an issue, and as far as I understand, it didn't fix the issue. So I'm hoping they'll be fine, but I can use them for mock-up purposes at the moment. As you can see, they're like loose at the moment. So what I will most likely do is make my own adapter plate, which is basically going to be like an aluminium strip with holes drilled out where they need to be, and I can use the existing tapped holes for little stands, or just use the little bit of threaded bar and just work out the sort of height that they need to be on. But that's video for another day. That's actually correct, but that's an issue for another day. I did remove the spark plugs from the engine, which didn't give me much confidence. They look rough. They look really, really rough. So I still need to order a new set. And what I'm working on at the moment is, so basically there's a bracket here. This engine never came with one, so I've just found a bit of scrap metal that I had laying around. I'm going to cut it here and then cut something out of here, maybe just a hole, so I can put a bit of a safety belt or something like that, or just a hook, and that will be fine. I'll be able to put the engine in the car going that way. And I feel like there was something else I wanted to mention. Yes, the Link ECU. So I went with Link Extreme. That is on the way. That should be delivered tomorrow as the video is being filmed. So I'm not sure whether that's going to make it into this video or not. And the last thing that I wanted to mention quickly is this bit. So as you can see, there's a lot of bits and bobs here. These are basically different plugs from the engine that we'll need. So stuff like the alternator, crank sensor, VVTi, temperature sensor, 2 NOx sensors, and there should be a camshaft sensor there. So basically what I did, I went through the original GS300 loom and kind of pulled out the plugs that I need, double checked where some of the stuff goes just to make my life easier going forward. So for example, I have a plug here that I have not labeled up, and that is really stupid and a really bad example. Let's see, this looks like labeled up. So I have, as an example, so yeah, that's really bad. My writing is terrible, and I thought I made this easier for myself. Ground, maybe? No, that's not a ground. Wow. So, okay, so it's a coolant temperature sensor. And I'm guessing this is a reference. Is it a reference? No, it's a, yes, I can see now. So it's a ground, and then it's a coolant temperature sensor. So I will probably be able to wire that up. I wired up some other stuff. Not wired up, labeled up, so like VVTI positive and VVTI negative somewhere. So VVTI positive, VVTI negative, and I will have to refer back to the link instructions how to wire that up. So at the moment I'm not sure whether I'm going to be using these plugs and just solder the wires to the basically to this, or if I maybe should probably get a new plugs. That's something for another day. And that is so far it, basically progress wise. So it's just like I say, I was waiting on parts for a while. Now I can actually take the engine off the stand once I finish that mount. And once the mount is done, I can take the engine off the engine stand, bolt up the flywheel and bolt up the gearbox and put the engine in the car. The only thing that I need to work out is currently the sort of the angle of the engine. So basically I have this little tool that measures the angle. So for example, if I work out that the angle of the car of the chassis rail is 0.2 degrees, I need to know at what angle to mount the engine. So obviously as the gearbox goes up, the angle increases, or if the gearbox goes down, the angle changes the other way. So I still need to know that angle, and I have looked a lot on internet and I cannot find this information. So if anyone knows, that would be much appreciated if you could tell me what that is. So that's kind of it for the sort of Christmas period update. Kind of not much happened, but then the parts delivery has actually enabled me to get the engine in, and then I can start working on the wiring, which is good. So I think, yeah, I'm going to carry on working, and I'm going to film another video in a week or two just to kind of keep an update on this channel. So if anyone watching and you have any useful information, please comment down below, and I appreciate all the comments, good or bad. And if you want to subscribe and follow this in future, please do. If not, no hard feelings. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Hello and welcome to a new episode of the MK4 Supra 2JZ NA-T build. So since the last video, I have not really done much, so I plan to film this video as I go along, sort of. We'll see how that goes. However, I have already started doing some things, and let me show you some of the issues that I have come across.